First, I'd like to congratulate Dickie for winning the runoff. I know that that was a long thing to go through the primary and then to win the runoff like that. So, congratulations, Dickie. And I made sure that the press took our picture, shaking hands, because that's very important. You know, the press paints us as arch enemies, and you know, I'm just not for putting an R or a D beside someone's name. It's not about that, because my slogan is people before party, and that works on two levels. That works on the levels of voters. We vote for, and we used to vote, it used to be this way, and it should be this way. Look at the person before the party, look at their issues, listen to them, study research, and vote for the person. I've always voted a split ticket, and I believe in that. Now, this also works at the legislative level. We need to represent our people and not party bosses. We do not need to represent special interests and a party. That's not the American way. That's not democracy. Well, I am married to Paige Parnell III. He's here. Hi, Paige. And he's president and CEO of Covenant Bank. We have 3 adult sons and 5 dogs. You see, every time a son moved out of the house, I would get another dog. And, well, I have 3 sons, 5 dogs. I can explain that. 2 sons moved back in. And I got reattached, and then when they left, I had to get 2 more dogs, so go figure. But I did graduate in Spanish literature from Arizona State University. I graduated magna cum laude. I have a law degree from ASU and honors in legal research and writing. I was law clerk for a state Supreme Court justice. I also owned and operated a successful advertising business for 10 years, Front Page Advertising. And I sold that business in 2008 for a profit. And you all know that I was the first Miss Leeds area some 30 years ago, and your Miss Alabama. And you know, I learned a lot from that experience, a lot, Dickie. As a Miss America contestant, you see, I got along with all of my opponents. I did. And I can get along with Dickie too. I know I can, although I'd get along a lot better if you competed in an evening gown. Guess that's not going to happen. I've got a red sequin one, Dickie. He said at least I didn't say a swimsuit. So, but before I get to the really important issues concerning District 45, I feel that I need to address 5 things. 5 things first. Let's get these things out of the way right now, because you're receiving all kinds of interesting telephone calls, I'm sure. You're reading things in the paper, and I just need to clear some things up. First of all, I want to talk about, let's name these things that I'm going to talk about. Are you ready? President Obama, John Rogers, abortion, Second Amendment rights, and gay marriage. Let's talk about that. Okay. Now you'll know where Paige Parnell really stands. President Obama. To listen to the chairman of the Alabama Republican Party, Mr. Bill Armistead, you would think that Obama was checking in with me every day to find out what's going on right down here in Leeds, Alabama. Yeah, you'd think he was on the phone calling me every day. Why, he's made it sound like President Obama and I are skipping down the road holding hands, singing Kumbaya. Well, I got news for you. I really don't agree with everything that President Obama has done in his 3 years in office, just as I did not agree with a lot of things that President George W. Bush did. But you know what? The last time I checked, Obama does not live in District 45. And you know, I'm really tired of Mr. Armistead pointing fingers to Washington and using fear tactics against me, when what we really need to be doing is focusing on what's happening right here in District 45. And that's the problem down in Montgomery. They are too busy playing partisan politics, and people are getting left out. They are. And I believe we, the people, are tired of that. And that's why my campaign slogan is people before party. Obama does not tell me what to do. And I promise you that I have not signed a caucus pledge to vote the way a political party tells me to vote. The people will tell me to vote, period. John Rogers, let's talk about him. I've heard a rumor out there going around that I've cut a deal with John Rogers. And if I get elected, I will vote for him as chairman of the Jefferson County delegation. I've never met John Rogers. I've never had any form of communication with John Rogers whatsoever. And as a Democrat, I have the freedom to vote my conscience. And I'm not going to vote for someone unless I know them. So no, Paige has not cut a deal with John Rogers. I don't know the man. Abortion. My personal religious views. I'm a Christian and I am pro-life. And I can promise you right now that I have never had an abortion and I will never have an abortion in the future. So there. Vicki, can you make that same promise? You've never had an abortion? Okay. Now, Second Amendment. Guess what? I'm pro-Second Amendment. I have a 357 mag in my nightstand. I carry a gun license. I know how to use it, and I went through classes to learn how to use it. Gay marriage. The law of the land in Alabama states that marriage is between one man and one woman. That's what I personally believe, and that's how I live my life with my husband. Now, I don't see that law here in Alabama changing for a long, 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 long time. So I'm not going to waste any more of your time talking about issues that are outside of the scope of what you are electing me to do. So, issues to discuss for District 45. First, Jefferson County. Well, we all know that crony capitalism, fraud, and greed are at the heart of our sewer crisis. And the sewer crisis actually began in 2008. It was set up by the greed and the corruption. During that same time, the housing market collapsed. The insurance companies that took bad mortgages were the ones who also insured the bonds. Their ratings dropped and triggered technical defaults. This increased the interest rates and the debt service. And the very next year, Jefferson County lost the occupational tax. So everything collapsed at the same time. And the debt went from $1.7 billion to $3.14 billion. Now, in 2009, the state legislature passed the Jefferson County Commission Accountability Act. The Honorable Owen Drake voted on this act. And the very reason for this act was to prevent corruption. It's a good thing to provide transparency. It's a great thing. Now, as I was studying this act, I noticed Section 5. You know, I did receive honors in legal research and writing. Section 5 states, the county commission shall maintain a continuous accounting of the status of the county budget and shall issue quarterly reports to the general public that shall be posted on the county website. Well, guess what? That was done in 2009. It's now 2011. Do you think that the commission has followed and obeyed Section 5? No, they have not. They have not. We should all be good stewards of public money. We should act honorably and follow the law to gain the public trust. Put me down in Montgomery and I will propose an enforcement clause to this act and put some teeth into it. I want to make sure that the commission obeys the law. There are 3 Republicans and 2 Democrats that sit on that commission, and they are not obeying Section 5. Now, Jefferson County desperately needs money to continue to operate. They have no occupational tax, and to tell you the truth, I can't vote yes on an occupational tax until I see them obeying Section 5. I want to know where the money's going. That's what got us into this problem in the first place. Now, what does that mean? Why is that Section 5 so important to me? Well, we see corporations like Hyundai locating in Montgomery, businesses locating in all these other areas of the state, but not Jefferson County. Why? We have great people, we have great schools like UAB, Sanford. Why? It's because corporations are scared of our dysfunctional, corrupt government. And we've got to stop that. I will fight against corruption because the reputation of Jefferson County must turn around before we will see any jobs coming our way. Now I'd like to address my thoughts on the Alabama immigration law. Federal law states that illegal aliens, where's Sandra? Are we okay? I got a minute. Illegal aliens are not allowed to work and they cannot be hired. So our new immigration law addresses that by making employers use E-Verify. Well, that's a good thing because it is in line with the federal law. But the part of the Alabama immigration law that I don't agree with is how broad it is and how many unintended consequences and unfunded mandates it creates, especially for our local municipalities and our police officers. The new law forces our local municipalities to spend your tax dollars to turn their policemen into immigration officers. Now that's a strain on your tax dollars that we need to look at. After all, we demand basic protections. So while an officer is checking papers, and he cannot let that person go if they look Hispanic. He's got to check those papers. He has to. Meanwhile, there's a rape over here. There's a murder over here. There's a robbery over here. Something's wrong with that picture, folks. Because that's taking away your basic protections. And I got a problem with that. This is an unfunded mandate. So what would be my main job as your representative? My job would be to make sure that you are not taxed 1 penny more than what is required to give you the services and protections that you demand from your government. Our children need great education. We've got to work on this. Our education keeps being cut. We're cutting into our basic services. The middle class is dying. This is not good. We can balance the state budget by closing some tax loopholes for out-of-state corporations like McDonald's and Target. And, we love McDonald's and Target. But you know what? They incorporate in Nevada, Delaware, and then they come through that loophole in our tax code, and they don't have to pay the same thing as our small businesses have to pay. That's not right. We need to level that. If we just close that loophole, it's not raising taxes, it's closing a tax loophole, make them pay their fair share as what our Alabama small businesses have to pay, then we could balance the state budget several times over. So I would like to fight for transparency in government, fight for corruption. I want to spend your tax dollars wisely, and I ask for your vote on November 29th. Remember my campaign slogan, people before party. That's what I stand by, and thank you so much. I'm happy to answer any questions afterwards, and I ask for your prayers. God bless.